All right, yeah, I'm curious about this video. It's like about there's like a non-binary person on TikTok, and like there's some kind of interaction that's going on. I'm gonna watch this. It's called Jeffrey Marsh. That's the person. I think they have like a Patreon where like they'll talk to people, and they've advertised it in a way where it's like they'll talk to younger people. Um, it's this person, and it's just like I'm uncomfortable with that kind of counseling, especially since I don't think you're a mental health professional. Let's see what's going on
Before
here.
we carry on with this,
Oh, it's by Jay Dillon. Jid. It looks like his name is Gideon. Well, you're looking a little pale, but okay.
video, I just want to say one thing, and I don't normally do this at the beginning, not many people do, but I want to get it out of the way because I truly do want to say this. Thank you all so much for the support you have given me recently and on the channel. It is absolutely insane. We're still relatively a small channel, right, in the grand scheme of things, and to see the love and support we do get at this stage, it is absolutely insane, and I don't know how to put it into words. I really don't. I just truly thank you from the bottom of my heart. The fact you guys use your time, your precious time to watch my videos, I'm eternally grateful for that. I really am. And I guess all I can say is long may it continue. But enough of the emotional stuff. We're going to get on with today's episode, and I hope you enjoy. So we have a lot to get through today, ladies and gentlemen, and the topics, well, they're as controversial as ever, especially the second one. I highly recommend everybody to stay tuned for the second topic, especially the people from the UK, from England, because number one, you need to know what is going on and what will continue to go on as we go further into the future. And number two, it doesn't matter where you're from. I think we're all going to agree. It is absolutely horrifying. I think you can already tell what I'm going to be talking about with the chapters I've included in this video. It's going to be a very interesting time, I can tell you that one. But let's move on to our first topic. Jeffrey Marsh. We all know who he's about. We all know what he's known for. He likes to make TikToks telling boys and girls that essentially their genders don't exist. And if you don't like your family, well, guess what? Jeffrey's got you covered because he'll be your new family.
If you need a family, you can come hang out with me. They may not see the real you, but that does not mean that you're not real.
You know, to me, here's the thing. I'm trying to get out of the habit of assigning the most negative intentionality to everybody on the internet. I've been really something that I've been trying to do. And I feel like that's something we do all the time on the internet. And we should try not to. When I hear that from that person, I think the first thing I think is it's very inappropriate. But what I also think is that's probably a person who has historically struggled enormously with their identity, and so they're trying to give people a resource that they didn't have when they were younger, and I can understand that. But I feel like that bias, you have to understand that it's inappropriate to do a direct message to young people saying, oh, if your family doesn't understand you, I will have private conversations with you, because that can go south so quickly. I don't know if this person's a trained, if they're a therapist. I doubt. Let me see. Let's see if they're a therapist. They're a gender counseling coach. It doesn't seem like they're a therapist, and I just feel like that could be very inappropriate. So...
Yeah. Now, because this man is getting a lot of attraction, a lot of attention, people outside of the conservative...
Just for context, it's a non-binary person. I'm just wanted to throw it out there for, just for context, guys. So...
space, and now making videos on this man, exposing him and his content. We have a TikTok comedian who goes by the name of Shumirun Nessa. I do apologize if I got that name wrong, but she is going viral right now for pretty much saying what we've all been saying, but it's nice to see somebody outside of the conservative space bringing attention to this. She originally made a video response to Jeffrey Marsh in which he said stop calling trans people inspirational in his notorious creepy voice. She responded to that video by saying stop telling kids to come over to your Patreon to talk to you privately without their parents knowing. Now obviously that's where the backlash happened, because as we all know, you're not allowed to question anything these days. People went after her. They said she was spreading hate, she's lying, she used all the buzzwords, because apparently Jeffrey Marsh's content isn't actually for kids, it's for adults who deal with childhood trauma.
That might be. Well, I don't know if that's true, because I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I could have swore I saw a video of Jeffrey Marsh explicitly telling young people to go to their channel. So I mean, I feel like it's irresponsible, okay? It's irresponsible.
Right, okay, let's just use that point for a second. right? So just imagine a kid going onto TikTok and stumbling across a Jeffrey Marsh TikTok, because they will and will continue to do so in the future. And he sits there and says, "Hey kids, I want to talk to you for a second," and goes on to say whatever creepy stuff he says. Do you think a kid's going to sit there and think, yeah, you know what, this is actually for adults who have childhood trauma, I'm just going to scroll past?
Well, that part doesn't matter. Like, if the person was like, "Oh, this is for," if they said explicitly, "This is for adults with childhood trauma," and the kids like engage anyway, that's really not their fault. But I'm pretty sure they've explicitly asked kids, or made so. I think it's in a Blair White. I'm not video. Against gay. They might be able to find it like in the beginning of the video. They were almost like immediately like.
And do I?
I could find it. I'll look for it as we go.
No. That's all you have to say to dismantle that false reality, that false narrative. Anyway, this woman goes on to make a second response to all the people calling her out, and she goes on to expose Jeffrey Marsh that little bit further, and I want to give her the stage right now, so I want you...
Okay, I think this is the video.
I want to talk to the kids.
I have schizophrenia.
Yeah, I don't know the rest of the video, but that, that doesn't start very good. It starts a little rough. Okay.
You to sit back, relax, and well, enjoy. Take a listen.
Okay, guys, this video is going to be a bit long.
Stop telling trans people that we're inspirational.
Stop telling kids to go on your Patreon and chat to you privately without their parents knowing.
And then a lot of people made stitches of me saying I'm transphobic, I've done a lot of bad stuff, they've even attacked my staff, my religion, a lot of bad stuff, which I don't want to go into. And these people have also said they are not talking to the kids. Okay, so I did a little bit of digging.
Hi, kids. Hey, kids. I want to talk to the kids. Hi, kids. Hey, kids.
So yeah, there's a lot of videos of them addressing kids. Now, the main video I want to talk about.
Your parents screwed up. It's okay to say so. That's why I made a Patreon.
So you want to talk?
Okay, well, that one doesn't explicitly say kids. It just says your parents screwed up. Although kind of like, it just suggests to me, like, I don't know. The problem with that TikTok is like, your parents screwed up. I don't know. It does kind of come off as talking to kids. Maybe I'm just wrong about that. But like, your parents screwed up. I want to see if I can find the full video so I can get like full context on it before we move through that one.
It's okay to say so. That's why I made a Patreon.
So you want to talk to kids whose parents have screwed up? Why? Why you want to talk to these particular kids?
I gotta find the original TikTok. What is it?
Up.
Let's get to know each other. All right, let's go see if we can scroll through this because I feel like it's imperative.
This.
How old do you think this is, though? Oh, Jesus. It's gonna be like fucking take forever on this damn thing. Oh, look, they're picking their nose. Let's see. I think I've watched it before, but I need a refresher.
3 ways to know when your mental health is...
Is this the one? It's the same outfit. Or did they pull it down? They might have pulled it down. Is there any way to get access to this video? Because I feel like it's pulled down. I think that they pulled it down. Yeah. It's like we're never going to be... I mean, if they pulled it down, that's kind of suggesting a lot to me, you know? Is there a way we could see the full thing? Well, I guess we're not going to be able to find it.
It's okay to say so. That's why I made a Patreon.
So you want to talk to kids whose parents have screwed up? Why? Why you want to talk to these particular kids? Why?
That's why I made a Patreon. So that we could talk about it. So that we could connect in a way that has more privacy. So that we could talk to each other in a way that's more open and stuff that we wouldn't share like in the comments of a video like this. I think you're worthy. And
so you want to talk to kids on a social media platform?
I see. This is the thing. I'm not a huge fan of this Jeffrey Marsh person, but it seems like that one isn't explicitly about kids. So it's hard to say. It's hard to draw that connection. I get that too. Like I kind of get the because it's like you're talking about asking parents, but they never explicitly said that, so I probably not accurate. But okay, let's keep going.
Privately about topics that cannot be talked about in the video of TikTok's comments sections. Because why? Why you want to do that? Why you can't chat about these topics in these comments? Is it because you might get flagged or something? What could be the reason? Could this be one of the reasons? Going no contact with the kids' parents? Because
Going no contact. I usually don't curse them. I don't even know what this means.
you say in one of your videos how kids can go no contact with their parents. So you teach kids how to go no contact with their parents? Is that?
I don't know what that means. Oh. But nothing says anything about parents. That's what I'm not understanding. It says going no contact. It looks like a Patreon tier. Going no contact. I don't usually curse in my videos. I don't know if it has anything to do with kids.
Is that what you're teaching them on Patreon? Or is it this? You're teaching this more on... Because this video might get flagged. That's why I don't want to say the word. And this is Jeffrey Marsh's Patreon. You talk about this topic with kids. Now,
the problem is that, like, okay, it seems like there are... Listen, I don't particularly care for this Jeffrey Marsh person, but it seems like they make some videos that are explicitly for kids, I guess, by saying this one is for the kids. But that doesn't mean that all of their content is, and that doesn't mean that their Patreon is for the kids. And so I can maybe understand why you would think that based on the way that they talk about stuff. I also think it's inappropriate either way to do like life coaching without like some kind of certification, although maybe they have that and I could just be wrong. But like, here's the first thing that comes up when you go to join there. Now, maybe they added this in afterwards from Backlash, but it says like you have to be 18 or older to view the content. So, I mean, they could have cleaned it up, but it's $4. Should I buy it just to see what's going on? Should I buy? Should I buy it just to review it? But nothing is exclusively for kids. And so that might be why some people are calling them transphobic, because they're making the assertion that Jeffrey's trying to talk to kids when, like, on their Patreon one-on-one, when it doesn't seem to be the case. And which I got wrong, apparently. So, I guess that would be why.
here are just some of the signs. Literally one of the first ones. Gaining access and isolating the victim. Asking them privately to go on Patreon and talking to them privately so you can connect, and then showing these kids that you trust them, you love them, you'll keep their secrets, and to keep them isolated from their parents. And then the icing on the cake is this video.
Hi, beautiful. If you do not have a family that loves you, I'm going to be your family.
No, you
Hold on a
can't.
second.
Beautiful.
And to keep them isolated from their parents. And then the icing on the cake is this video.
Hi, beautiful. If you do not have a family that loves you, I'm going to be your family.
But where does that say that's for kids? Because so far, I'm getting the idea that this Jeffrey person is cringy and probably has like probably traumas associated with being LGBTQ from growing up and from being like oppressed by their parents in some capacity and not feeling like they have any safe spaces to talk about anything. And now they're basically making content so that like you have that's a safe space for you. I'm trying to give you the resource I never had. That's what I'm getting out of this. So it doesn't seem like this person's a fucking groomer, and that's probably what people are calling you transphobic. You know, that's the biggest thing here. You know.
No, you can't. You are a stranger on the internet. You are not their family. Oh, and another thing. You can turn off age restrictions on Patreon. So kids can go to Jeffrey Marsh's, their Patreon.
What?
And turn off age restrictions.
Can I opt out of age verification? Yes, you are eligible to what? What does this have to do with anything?
Restrictions on Patreon. So kids can go to Jeffrey Marsh's, their Patreon.
But that doesn't matter.
You can't. You are a stranger on the internet. You are not their family. Oh, and another thing. You can turn off age restrictions on Patreon.
Your ability to turn off age restrictions doesn't mean anything at all. So she's saying, well, you can turn off age restrictions, so that means it must be for kids. Well, no, you can turn them off, but you can also turn them on. Now, if your argument is that they were off at the time of creating the video, that's fine. I don't know that that's true. Maybe they recreated it to make it, Jesus Christ. Maybe they made it so that it's like that you have to be like 18 or older, like because of the backlash, but also maybe they've always had it on 18 plus. So it's making, and if you make the criticism like, oh, you can turn off age restriction, that suggests to me that it's not turned off and that it is turned on, and like you're just looking for another excuse. You know, it seems like this Jeffrey person isn't really doing anything super inappropriate. So, okay.
So kids can go to Jeffrey Marsh's, their Patreon.
So do you know what I really, really want to see right now? Truly, I do. All the people that stuck up for Jeffrey Marsh, I want to see their response to this TikTok, because what can they say? There is nothing they can say. Actually, do you know what they're going to say? She's transphobic, she's a TERF, because that's all they've got left. She showed everybody what kind of TikToks Jeffrey Marsh makes. Nobody's making it up. Nobody's taking things out of context.
Well, they
He
might
literally
be a
says,
little
hey
bit.
kids, your genders don't exist. Your parents screwed up. I'll be your family. Is it because he wants to confuse people, kids, separate them from the family? Hey, I don't know, I'm just asking the questions. And the more I
Well,
think
you
about
are suggesting that they are. Like I said, it's probably somebody with like a fucking trauma that's like projecting onto other people. So, you know, I don't think they're trying to groom people.
it, the people that are saying his content isn't for kids, do you think when adults stumble across his TikToks, they're going to be like, well, yeah, he just said, hey, kids, so it's obviously content for me? No, there is no valid...
No, but again, like there are some videos that explicitly talk about kids, but nobody played those, and then the ones that aren't are the ones you guys are complaining about more than anything else. So it's like hard to, you know, it's hard to make the assertion that they're definitely trying to talk to fucking kids or whatever. So
in this whatsoever. But it is more controversial for her to sit there and say that stuff than it is for Jeffrey Marsh to post his content, right? Because I can guarantee you, in the vague TikTok social media guidelines and policies, who is more likely to get banned? Her or Jeffrey Marsh?
probably her
You have
for
your
sure.
answer.
But I think that this Jeffrey Marsh person is more like, I agree. TikTok will not, like, they're much more open to not removing like progressive content. So from a TikTok's guidelines, that the Muslim girl has a higher chance of getting banned. But controversial wise, especially now where like conservatives, and I'm not talking about her, but I mean like the conservative like media like outlets in general are very obsessed with gender identity because they have no other platform to run on. It's really considered more controversial to be like that person, Jeffrey, whatever. So just saying.
I don't understand why, of all people, Jeffrey Marsh's content needs to be pushed. Why does that need to be in the algorithm? I'm asking you guys. I don't get why people just don't get the clear message of leave the kids alone. Anyway, what do I know? That's a great segue into our next topic, actually, because it just gets worse. Another issue we're seeing arising is the whole controversy with drag queen events, whether it's under the name of Drag Queen Story Hour or simply parents taking their kids to drag queen events. I'll say now, right, if you're an adult and you enjoy these sort of events, these performances, knock your socks off, right? You do you. The concern and the issue is with parents taking their kids to these events where a lot of the time they end up being non-PG, and we see many more of these events being exposed all over social media.
So this is like another thing where like I think that it's like an intentionality or not. It's another thing. Okay, so my understanding of some of this drag, like first of all, fundamentally speaking, I don't care if you take your kids to like a drag show event as long as it's like appropriate. There are appropriate drag show events. It's basically just a clown, but there can be ones that are inappropriate. The ones that I've seen that are inappropriate that kids go to, like I remember there was one that the idea is for parents who can't get a babysitter, you can go there, and it makes sense. The content's much more raunchy and inappropriate than I think. The parent's perspective is probably like, okay, I don't have to pay for a babysitter, and I can go enjoy a drag show, because who doesn't like a good drag show? You know, fun stuff. And it'll be less expensive for me. I think that's all it really boils down to. Wow, there's only one. Incredible. Getting my fucking ass dicked right now. And so that's their argument. I don't think that they have like a negative intentionality when it comes to creating the content. I just think that, like, you know, maybe you should have a little bit more sense because it doesn't seem entirely appropriate. But again, I don't want to assign intentionality to individuals because I don't think that there is like this intentionality to try to do something inappropriate.
The drag queen performance,
that baby one was wild
themselves,
though, yeah.
Because for some reason they are just heavily advocating for either reading a book in front of children or simply performing in front of children.
Well, who cares if they're reading a book in front of children? Like, it's just a fucking clown. It doesn't matter. It's like it's not a thing. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. Really doesn't matter. Wow, I'm just
which ends up being
taking
a
L's all day.
provocative performance a lot of the time. Why is there this
Maybe
need
not, maybe.
to be in front of children?
People reading a book is not a provocative thing. The book reading is like never provocative. Okay, we have to stop with that. It's just a fucking clown in makeup. So the performances seem to be a little bit more provocative, and it's bizarre. But
These are grown men playing dress up. What is the fascination with being around children? I don't get it.
This
But we
is
have
the
this story
problem.
going viral.
This is the problem. This is like the kind of content that I'm talking about. I think it's perfectly reasonable to be like, yo, bro, some of this shit's inappropriate. It's fucking bizarre. But the assignment of intentionality, this person is like trying to suggest that like they're grooming in some capacity. Like, why are you obsessed with children? The idea of obsession. They're not obsessed with kids. Right, like they're not. You're assigning an intentionality that doesn't exist there, and that's the problem that I have. Saying like, "Yo, bro, that's inappropriate." Yeah, I agree, but you're obsessed with kids. You're assigning intentionality, and it feels like, it feels like the LGBTQ groomer question all over again. Yeah, you're right. Book readings aren't controversial. Let me hear you read Mein Kampf on stream. You got me. You're right. I'm fucking. You're so dumb.
Viral in England because it seems as if this trend has made its way to this country. It's got a visa and it's settling down. A political broadcaster called Dominique Samuels has made a video where she shows insane video proof of these events taking place in England, and if I'm going to be honest, it's some of the worst I have ever seen. When I first saw it, I thought, here we go again, another event in America, but when I learned it was in England, I was truly shocked and deeply concerned. You know, we have this stereotype in England that, whatever goes on in America is crazy and Americans are crazy and they take things to the next level. It would never happen in this country. Well, after you've seen this video and go ahead and watch Dominique Samuels' video, which I highly recommend you do, it's clear to see we have to put that stereotype to bed. This is just not normal. And like, I struggle to believe anybody...
Something being not normal is incredibly irrelevant. I just think it's inappropriate because they're dancing provocatively. But I think we should maintain that energy across, like, whether it's drag for kids or whether it's people doing cheerleading and like fucking weird, or beauty pageants more than anything else, because beauty pageants are creepy as fuck. And like nobody really cares about that. Nobody really talks about like beauty pageants, but they'll talk about LGBTQ people, you know, or they'll talk about like the drag stuff. Just be consistent and talk about both, because I think they're both like inappropriate. You know what I mean? Hey Papa, catching up right now. I won't see this for like 30 minutes. Hope your future's doing good. Hey, thank you, brother.
Anybody would advocate for what we just saw in that clip I just showed you.
Thank you, Jesus
and
Christ.
Parents are taking their kids to these events, and we always get told, nah, they're family friendly. All right, okay. And in Dominique Samuels' video, she exposed a singular event organizer who goes by the name of, wait, let me just check because it's a bizarre name, Kaba Baba Rave. Now, before Dominique Samuels raised the concern and made her video, you could actually go check out their pages, their Instagram pages, and see what was on there. That's where she got a load of her research from, right? The stories they put on their Instagram page, etc., etc. But obviously, to avoid any backlash, any controversy, and responding to the people who may have some valid questions, they have made everything private. They've made their Instagram private and their Facebook page private. Thankfully, a load of people saw what was on there before they did this, and they have posted the images on Twitter. I couldn't believe what was on there. There are no words for it. How that account wasn't taken down, beyond me. But this is what happens when you give people an inch. You know what? They don't even take a mile any longer. They proceed to take 300 miles. And do you know what the narrative is right now for parents to be concerned over this stuff? I'm not even joking. If a parent has concerns about the safety of children because of these events, they're now right-wing. They are far right.
Well, the problem. So again, like, I think that show is inappropriate too. I remember seeing that. The problem is that again, the parents are taking the kids to those events, and the concept. And again, I still think it's inappropriate. But the concept is like, oh, the parents are able to go there without needing to get a babysitter. It's not for kids, but it is being done in front of kids, and I do think it's inappropriate. But it's not supposed to. I try to be careful in assigning this negative intentionality, because literally their intention is like, oh, I like drag, I want to do drag. These moms mostly like drag, but they also have to take care of their kids, and it's expensive to get babysitters or whatever. So let's just make a show where you could bring your kid and like you just sit on the floor and whatever while we're doing the thing. It's weird. I think it's inappropriate, but it's not like intentionally, like, you know. It's not this like intentional horrible thing. And their argument's also going to be like, oh, the kids are too young. Like, they're not going to know like what's going on anyway. It doesn't really matter. It's not like they're whipping their dicks out. That's the argument. So yeah, just keep that in mind.
That's the narrative being pushed, because you're not allowed to question it. You just have to accept it, which, you know, is really weird to me. Parents get concerned. And do you know what? It's really weird to me. Parents who question this sort of stuff and have concerns get labeled all of these things they don't want to be labeled as. But the parents that take their kids to these shows, what do they get? Oh yeah, SEALs, mate. They start clapping.
Well, that's not true. You know that. People have been relentlessly going after people who take like again, like, let's not act like nobody's getting criticized for this. This is like the literal conservative perspective right now, or platform is talking about this. Like, this is like this is what everything hinges on. Oh, these parents get claps. No, they don't. They've been criticized since day one. Like, I just, you know, it's this like kind of, the language is a little bit like victimy. Like, people get called out. They rightfully so, by the way. But like, don't pretend that like the entire world is like on the side of these people doing that, because they're fucking not. Okay.
Everywhere. Look, I'm not here to tell parents how to raise their kids, right? Although there is one side of the political spectrum who insists on telling everybody else how to raise their kids, and in some cases, you know, they want to raise them themselves.
What?
But it is very weird and strange. Parents love taking their kids to these events because I can guarantee you, if this was a man who wasn't playing dress up, he would be arrested.
What?
If a man proceeded to do what these drag queens are doing and he wasn't identifying as a woman or pretending to be a woman, he would be arrested.
What are you talking about? I don't even understand what that means, to be absolutely honest with you. What do you mean they'd be arrested? First of all, like drag people aren't trans, so like I don't know what you're talking about with that. But why would they be arrested? It's like a burlesque show. The inappropriate ones are a burlesque show. Why would you get arrested for that? I'm not understanding. Like, what would you get arrested for? I don't get that. It was
Queens are doing and he wasn't identifying, he would be arrested.
For what?
If a man proceeded to do what these drag queens are doing and he wasn't identifying as a woman or pretending to be a woman, he would be arrested.
I don't how. I really you need to explain more what you're talking about.
Apparently, these men dressing up as women gives them this sort of right to perform in front of kids and face no backlash whatsoever. Very strange times we're living in. As a young person, as you can probably tell, I am not looking forward to the rest.
If it was like a show, if it was like a music show, an overly sexualized music show, which are very common nowadays, and your parents, like the parents brought a kid there, they wouldn't have gotten arrested for that. I don't know what you're talking about. You're kind of just making stuff up at this point. Okay. It's really like just kind of morally loading this as much as possible. A little bizarre, but okay.
Of the future. But that is the end of the video, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
I hope you have enjoyed today. Leave your comments down below. I'm sure many of you have already. If you have enjoyed today's video, then please, for me, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that big red subscribe button and turn on bell notifications.
Okay.
So you...
I'm kind of curious. There's like a follow-up to this video from them. I'm kind of curious about this right here. It's
So
about,
this was
about the original topic. That's like actually why I watched the video. But
the original video I had planned for today. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's pretty obvious. I had a very different, light-hearted topic, but let's be honest, this situation is more important than any video I could have planned for
Let's
today.
see the update
I'm sure
on
you're all
the-
aware of this story that's going on right now between Shumi, the TikTok comedian, and Jeffrey Marsh and his content, if you want to call it that. It's a very big talking point. Everybody's speaking about it, and I don't think I'm going too far. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this. It's reached a very concerning, dangerous point. You see, we all know there is this universal law where you're not allowed to question anything, absolutely anything. And if you do question something you're not supposed to, we all know what happens. The woke mob, they'll come out, they'll pressure you, they'll surround you, they'll bombard you until you give in. Even Jeffrey Marsh's videos are off limits. You see, if Jeffrey Marsh had no issue with his videos, if he thought they were harmless, why is he now deleting them? I don't know. These are just questions you're not allowed to ask, apparently.
They could be harmful, or maybe they just are getting tired of the backlash, or maybe people are mass reporting them so much they're just getting pulled down, which happens. I mean, it's happened to me constantly. I'll get videos that get mass reported, pulled down. I'll even get a ban, and then I'll appeal them, and they'll go right back up. So I don't know. Maybe. Again, this kind of gets into that conversation about like assigning the most negative intentionality to the person, being like, "Oh, you must be deleting them because you must be the groomer that I'm asserting that you are without actual evidence." Right? Like that's kind of the energy that I'm getting from here. Like I said, it's good to be skeptical. It's good to question everything, but like it's not good to like it's a really bad habit to get into, assign the worst intentionality to everybody on the internet all the time.
But the woke mob, they don't recognize those arguments. It doesn't compute with them. They ignore everybody's concerns, everybody's issues, because to them, when you question something, it's just bigotry and transphobic. But when they realize the buzzwords don't work anymore, well, what do? They turn it up a notch.
Well, no offense, but the word woke is a buzzword. Like, I just want you guys to know that. It's a buzzword now. Woke is a fucking huge... Woke, grooming, these are buzzwords that conservative people tend to lean into a lot when it comes to, like, LGBTQ people, especially. So, like, let's not pretend, you know, that you're not buzzwording.
And this is supposed to be the very same people who preach, be kind, guys, be kind. You see, I didn't realize the Be Kind Brigade have already vandalized Shumi's car.
Well, that's
just
not
for
right.
bringing attention to Jeffrey Marsh's content. Imagine that. Having concerns over a man's content gets your car vandalized. But be kind though, right? Yeah, be kind. And it's gotten worse for Shumi. You see, there is this video that is now trending where Shumi tells everybody what is going on in her life, and it's shocking. It's disgusting. If you haven't seen it, I think you'll be shocked too.
Let's
Take
see
a
it.
listen.
So I just got an email saying, pretty much a threat, saying they know where I live.
Damn.
And what scares me the most is they have got my daughter's details on the email.
Damn,
What time I leave
that sucks.
to drop them to school.
Jesus
pick them up.
Christ.
And it's not coincidence because both of my daughters, they go to 2 different schools, so they know.
Wow.
They've given the school details and everything. So
Jesus, that's fucked up.
yeah, my daughters are involved now in this. Some of you might know that my car was damaged in this whole thing.
That's fucking crazy, bro. Jesus Lord.
I was getting not very nice videos and now emails with a lot of details on that email. So I'm done. I don't want to do anything. I'm not going to talk about Jeffrey Marsh. I've deleted everything, removed it. If you guys want to go ahead, but please don't come to my house. You just get on with your life, I'll get on with mine.
Wow.
You guys want me to say I'm sorry? Fine, I'm sorry. Please don't come at me, don't come to my house, don't do anything with me. Because I'm just one person. And specifically 4 or 5 of you have 4 or 5 of you have kind of done stuff. Like some of you have found old pictures of me and uploaded it on TikTok without my hijab. So you guys have done that. I know you guys are gonna take the mickey out of this video. So, but my main thing is please don't continue this. I'm sorry. Please don't come for my kids.
You know, it's very hard to put into words what I want to say right now. For me,
Well, that's it, man. I think it's important to understand that it's not Jeffrey. I doubt that Jeffrey's the one doing it explicitly. There are going to be bad actors on like all sides, and I think what's happening there, if it's true, is horrible. I would also say that like it's possible that there's like a similar reason that the other person took the videos down as well, because we talked before about Jeffrey took their videos down. And so, you know, he assumed that the reason that Jeffrey took the videos down is the worst intention ever, is like, oh, because they must be guilty. Well, it might be that they just don't want to be bullied or harassed anymore, and it's not worth it to have those up. Or maybe they realized that even though they were well-intentioned, that it was inappropriate in some capacity. Just like this woman, like if I was going to assume the worst, I would, oh, she's faking it. I don't think that she is. That's horrible. It's probably real. But she's removing this stuff because she doesn't want to like engage in the discourse anymore because people are being very toxic. Whether she's right or wrong, she's not saying anything that should have her like doxxed or have her kids harassed or anything, which is really fucked up. So, you know, but like let's not. I don't think we should attribute it to every single person that agree or like attack that onto this Jeffrey person's perspective, right? But it's really fucked up.
many reasons. It's sad, if anything, that it's come to this. It's sad that above everything else, a parent raised concerns over somebody's content, and it's come to this. You see, everybody thinks that's against Shumi and everybody else, by the way, that she put a spell on everybody. She made this video and just forced everybody to believe this. No, parents were concerned. They saw what she said. They went and did their own research. They looked at Jeffrey Marsh's content, his Patreon, etc., and they were concerned. They were worried. But what the woke mob are telling you, parents, that if you're worried, you're not allowed to be worried. Your worries aren't valid. Because really, secretly, it's just centered around bigotry and transphobia, and this is a way for you to express your hate. Again, I'll use the same example. If this was a straight male, you would have no issue with joining in with the rest of us and calling this person out. You would.
I just don't. What do you mean by that? If a straight male doing what? Like, I don't really understand. Like, reading. If a straight male was reading books to people, I don't know that they would get canceled. I don't know that people would call them out for that. I don't know. I don't really know what they mean by that. So.
Would have no issue with their videos being taken down. In fact, your uproar would be a lot worse than our uproar right now. I wonder why that is. Certain people know where she lives. Certain people know where her kids go to school. That is terrifying. They found old images of her. They sent her threats.
I wonder where they got this stuff from. I wonder if she, like, it was on her own Facebook and she just like wasn't like she was revealing a lot on her Facebook. Because you got to be careful about that when, especially when you're a content creator. It doesn't make it right if somebody threatens you, obviously, but you got to be careful like of that stuff. You got to, because people, there are crazy people out there, you know.
Emails with threats in. They forced her pretty much to apologize. And one of the worst things about that video is right at the end, you heard her yourself.
If a straight male was telling kids that their parents don't validate them, it's messed up. Oh, okay. I don't think that's what he was referring to, but let's say that was what he was referring to. So in the context of Jeffrey Marsh or whatever saying that, they're talking about their kids' LGBTQ identity, which there are LGBTQ kids that exist, and there are some parents probably more than we'd think, that don't validate those experiences or those feelings, which they exist. And so Jeffrey is saying to those people on TikTok, hey, I was there too. They don't validate you. You're going to get through this and you'll be happy when you get older. Fundamentally, that's what they're saying. There's nothing wrong with what Jeffrey's saying. I think that it's uncomfortable to direct kids to talk to you one-on-one on Patreon, but you can't even say that they're doing that necessarily, because that's not what is being said. It's not his place. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think that there's anything wrong with a person saying it's okay to be gay. That's all Jeffrey's saying is it's okay to be gay. I don't think it's that big of a deal. If you think it's inappropriate, that's fine, but you need to not assign the worst intentionality, because what they're doing is probably projecting their trauma from being a kid onto other LGBTQ kids and saying like, hey, you're okay, you're going to be valid, like you're okay. If someone did this in a religious aspect, it'd be weird. No, it wouldn't. What are you talking about? If somebody said like, hey, your parents don't define your religion, nobody would think that'd be weird. Conservatives would be coming all over themselves if there was a fucking religious kid. That's exactly what what they're saying. I just need you to understand, like, you're wrong about the interpretation of the events. I'm sorry. I don't know. Like, I'm just letting you know that's the normal interpretation of intentionality. But you're assigning the most predatory intentionality to that Jeffrey Marsh person because you're uncomfortable. You're engaging dishonestly, like a lot of people do on the internet, where they assume the worst, most predatory intentionality to everything all the time. You're conservative? Okay, well, that makes sense as to why you're having a rough time interpreting this correctly. Not because you seem to have just chosen a side. Okay, it wouldn't be weird if somebody had made like, hey guys, this is a religion class for kids on TikTok. Nobody would be saying that that's weird. So I don't know what you're talking about if it was like a religious person. I'm confused about your comparison. Point that I'm making is try not to be terminally online and constantly assume the worst intentionality of people every instance that you have. Because if you got that information returned to you, you'd be upset. Like this Jeffrey Marsh person, you could argue that they need to have better boundary issues and that maybe they shouldn't be making some of the content that they are, like speaking to kids, but they are projecting their childhood trauma onto people and being like, hey, it's okay that you're gay. That's all they're really saying. And then despite the fact that they've never told anybody that despite the fact that they never told any kids that they should be going to their Patreon and signing up, despite the fact that they have an 18 plus Patreon, people are still assuming it's for kids. So yeah, you said you're on the fence, but then you're saying everything is like predatory, basically. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is the interpretation of what you're saying. I don't think you're really on the fence. I think you've made your decision, but okay, whatever. Anyway, let me move on. I'm getting so long.
She says, she pleads, do not come for my kids. Do you know what position you have to put a mother in for her to say that? A mother has just said out loud to the world, publicly, on social media, because she is worried, do not come for my kids. And this is why many people don't speak out, a lot of people, including women, surrounding certain issues, because they'll face consequences. They don't want you speaking out. It's not allowed. There are people out there who are genuinely happy she's experiencing this. You can see some reaction on Twitter. They're saying she deserves it.
I'm sure that there's some reaction on Twitter for everything. Twitter and Twitter are fucking toxic. I would say most people probably aren't happy that this person's getting bullied like that.
She shouldn't have opened her mouth. If you really think a mother deserves being worried over the safety of her kids, I don't know. Have I just woken up in a different reality? Like, truly, I know public debate has gone.
Yeah, just stop having trauma.
But you've taken it this far? Really? And on top of that, not only have they broken her down, you see, actually, you would think this would be enough for them. You would think seeing a woman like this in tears, worried over her child's safety, you think that would be enough for the woke mob? Of course not, because not only that, they don't want her creating content any longer. They want her gone forever, because somebody has obviously used their precious time to create a petition to ban her. You know, in this current state of society, I don't even think it's time to create.
Damn, they got 0 signatures. Fuck. Looks like everybody wants them banned. Okay.
A petition to ban her. You know,
damn,
in this current state of society, I don't even think you need petitions, because people get banned for simply saying the truth. People get demonetized for simply saying what other people are thinking.
So first of all, people don't just get banned for the truth. I don't know. I just don't know what you're referring to. People getting banned for the truth. Like, I was banned on TikTok at like 2.5 million. I'm only saying that like because it's I have every reason to be pissed off at TikTok. because like it was for content that I made months before that they accepted, and then they changed like their like monetization like policy, and so I got fucked, right? So like I'm like the first person that would be like, yeah, they ban people for dumb shit, and I constantly, even now when I put stuff on TikTok, they get like I get content that's pulled down, and then I have to appeal it, and then it gets even put back up, and that's after like 2 or 3 years of being banned, and now I'm finally able to post, but like not really. I don't know even by saying truth. A lot of people like get banned for being like provocative. Like I was being provocative. I'm not proud of it, but that's like what it is. A lot of people get banned for being provocative, not for like saying a truth. You want to argue like COVID stuff. Like there was a huge like campaign against misinformation that I think went too far. But I don't really know what you're referring to. Like what's the truth that you feel like people are getting banned for? Because again, like the entire conservative, like is generally speaking, like the political conservative platform is really just like rests on this. Like there's really nothing else going on when it comes to policy. A lot of it's just like ban gay marriage, and which is a conversation that like conservatives like Ted Cruz have been having until I believe they codified like gay marriage. So thank God. Or like, oh, drag queens. Meanwhile, they won't have conversations about shit that matters, like fucking gun deaths, even though it's the leading cause of death of children from 1 to 19. We're talking about, it seems like we're not really on the right track when it comes to like that Ohio train derailment or whatever, when there was like a bunch of fucking chemicals that went into the atmosphere. I think it was in like Pakistan or Palestine. Sorry if I'm getting it wrong. I'm fucking dumb. Nobody's talking about how nobody really cares about that anymore, about how like there needs to be better EPA regulations, how apparently that like the railroad industry over there makes like $16 billion a year or something, but they profit like $14 billion, how they're constantly cutting workers, how some of these people that work on these trains, I think that they're only like, they have like 4 sick days a year, how they're like overworked, underpaid. There's a drastic reduction in the amount of like like the amount of time that they go before they patrol cars, from like 3 minutes to like 1 minute, just to get them out as soon as possible to up the thing. How they're using like brakes that were from like the fucking Civil War era. I'm not engaging like a whataboutism. I'm just saying that like there seems to be a lot of like hype over what the fuck conservatives are platforming on right now, and it seems to be mostly about like gay shit and LGBTQ shit, which I understand talking about it, but it seems like that's the entire conservative party right now, is just having meltdowns about this, when we have a lot of other things that we could be focusing on as well. And it kind of comes off as intentionally sensationalizing these situations instead of engaging in actual political discourse of issues that matter tremendously more. So I'm just saying.
Like Odin's men. This is the state we're in. One side can ask all the questions, one side can do everything, but when somebody from another side, or somebody who's not even political, raises a concern, then they're the ones in the wrong, and they're the ones that should face all the consequences, terrible consequences. To me, that just doesn't make any sense, really. I can't imagine what she's going through. I can't imagine what her family's going through. I can't imagine what her kids are going through. Imagine that. You have to tell your kids, because you raise concerns, not only for yourself, but for other parents over a man's content. And you have to tell your children, be safe, look around. Your safety is in jeopardy. And there are people who support that. But, I'm going to end the video there because there's not much more I can say. I have to be very vague about these things. One rule for them. One rule for us. People think I'm exaggerating when I say this, but it is just the harsh reality right now. A sad reality.
It sounds like more of a victim complex,
ladies and gentlemen,
okay,
on this situation. If you have enjoyed today, then please, for me, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new.
All right. Well, that was an interesting discourse, I guess. Listen, it seems a little, this Jeffrey person seems uncomfortable and bizarre. It doesn't really seem like they're trying to get any kids to message them privately, like people are suggesting, assigning like the worst intentionality by trying to say it's like fucking grooming. Mostly seems like a gay or an LGBTQ person who has a trauma that's like, just trying to create resources for people like they wish they had, but it doesn't make it appropriate. I think that they might be crossing boundaries, but not in an intentionally predatory way or anything, just in a way where it's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be making this type of content. Especially since I don't even know if you're like actually a trained therapist. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we should leave this to professionals. So yeah. I just, again, biggest thing, let's stop assigning like the most predatory intentionality to everything that's going on the internet. I think it's a really bad habit to get into, so shouldn't do it.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.